What's up, guys? Rick here with your DFS preview for this week's Scottish Open, and do not fast forward. I have two very important announcements that you are going to want to hear, and I'm going to announce them right now. First off, you guys know that I like to do as much for the community as I can in terms of setting up contests and running one and done leagues and managing 100 season-long fantasy leagues and all that fun stuff. And I love it. It's awesome. And one of the biggest questions that I get is like, Rick, why don't we have a weekly listener league? And the answer to that has always been, well, it's difficult. I don't want to have to like shill filling it every single week. Do we need one? I don't know. I think it would be cool, but there's logistics about who can play and regulations and all that stuff. And I don't want to hold the money. There's just like a lot of things that keep me from doing certain things. However, I am happy to announce that this week is a test run for a listener league, and it's going to be on splashsports.com. So you might not have heard of Splash, but you're going to hear about it, and you probably know who the business is. So Splash bought officefootballpool.com. Officefootballpool.com is where we do, and a lot of people do, like their one and done leagues, their survivor contests, all that fun stuff. They also bought runyourpool.com. So they bought like the two largest of these, pool sites, and they're going to have that side of things and the fantasy side of things. So this is important for a couple of reasons of why I think this is a good fit for us, because yeah, we can do a weekly listener league here, but we're also going to be able to do our one and done contests. If we want to have March Madness pools together, if we want to do NFL Survivor, it is all in one spot. I do not have to manage the money. It is legal in a bunch of states and still climbing. It's in a bunch of populated states already. I know it's in California, Texas, Florida, and a bunch of others. And it's all in one spot. So we can do this all together. So here it is. For this week, there is a little bit of a test run going on. There is a single entry $25 Scottish Open contest. It is tiers, meaning you will choose 6 golfers, one from each tier. So for example, for the Scottish Open, tier 1 is Scheffler, Rory, Cantlay, Hovland, Xander, Wyndham Clark, Tyrrell Hatton, Ricky Fowler. Then you'll go to tier 2 and you'll pick a golfer out of there, 3, 4, 5, etc. The scoring is very simple. It's just strokes under par. The deepest under par wins. Here are the payouts. So for this $200 or this 200 person entry, we're going to pay out 25 spots. It's a pretty flat payout, which I was happy with. And if your golfer misses the cut, they're assigned 8 points, essentially 8 over par for every round that they do not complete. So this feels like a much better natural fit for the Rick Run Good community. If we want to have a weekly contest, we can have it. If we want to do just major pools, we can do it. If we want to get together for March Madness, which I know is always fun, and Survivor and all this other fun stuff that I think is cool, we can do it all together in one spot, and I don't have to worry about it, and I don't have to manage it. So I thought this was a very good fit. I hope that these 200 spots fill quickly. If they do, we can open up a second one, a bigger one. I'm open to feedback on if you want to have a larger buy-in, if you want to have multiple entries. We can talk about all that, but the idea for this week is to get a gauge of how many people are going to be in this so that we can get next week's contest for the Open Championship sized correctly. So it's private. It's only going to be, Rick Run Good community people. There's a link in the description. You can click through, get signed up. $25. Let's see where this goes. I just think this ecosystem is better than other ecosystems that we've tried out before, being able to do everything in one spot. So go sign up for that. Check that out. Don't make me look silly here. I think we can fill 200 for $25 pretty quickly, and then we'll open some more. So let's make that happen. And then second of all, if you are following me on Twitter, you know that I ordered just a box of stuff from the RNA for the Open Championship. So, I've got towels, and I've got Travis Matthews shirts, and I'm wearing one right now, and I've got hats and beanies and pin flags and let's see, mugs and travel mugs and golf ball. Like basically whatever I could just get my hands on. I just ordered a box of it, right? Just a bunch of stuff, and I will split it up and give it out like I've done in the past, right? I'll make a couple little care packages and I'll send them out to a couple of people. The only thing that you have to do is sign up for my newsletter. It's the Run Good Rundown. There's a link in the description, or you can go to rickrungood.com/newsletter. You sign up for this, you're in. If you are already signed up, you are already in. Congratulations. I send out a weekly email with stats and information about the tournament that just happened and the upcoming tournament. It is free. So I don't know why you wouldn't sign up for this anyway. And now I'm just incentivizing you even more with beanies and such. So yeah, check it out. Link in the description. 2 things that I hope to give back to the community with. Let's continue to rock and roll. It's going to be a great week. It's going to be a lot of fun. The next couple weeks are going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait. Let's jump into it. All right, let's start with the golf course and the history of this event, which is going to be pretty critical for this week. So this is my website, RickRunGood.com. Everything you see is going to be from my website, giant golf database for betting and fantasy. Okay, the Renaissance Club, and I understand that you probably think I'm saying it weird, but that's how it's pronounced. I guess I could be a pleb and call it the Renaissance Club, but I don't know. We'll go with the Renaissance Club, and it is in Scotland, obviously. North Berwick, and the history of this event is it's great, right? I mean, it's been around for 35 years. It's Scottish's National Open. However, it is historically been only an event that has been played on the DP World Tour. So, for example, 2021, Min Woo Lee won this event. That was a DP World Tour victory. Aaron Rai won it in 2020. That was a DP World Tour victory. Last year, when Xander won it, that was the first time that this was a co-sanctioned event. And now you're still going to see a lot of guys who reside primarily on the DP World Tour. Obviously, a lot of big players from the PGA Tour who are getting ready for the Open Championship, all coming together in this co-sanctioned event. So we have a couple of items that we need to go through here. Number one, the last four editions of this have been played at the Renaissance Club. If you go back further than 2009, you're at another golf course. And that's easy to pick up. So when you go to any golfer profile for this week, and when we go to the cheat sheet, you're going to see all the Scottish Open history, whether it was the European Tour or whether it was a co-sanctioned event. But I have Matt Fitzpatrick up here for an example, because he's a really good example. When you click Scottish Open, you can see 2022 was a PGA Tour event, 2021 European Tour, 2020, etc. And then you get down here to 2018, that's not at this golf course. So this will be very easy to determine what golf course they played, what tour it was on, all that fun stuff. I've built it into rickrungood.com. It should be easy for you to keep an eye on for this week, because it's going to be important to understand that aspect of things. It also means that if you're using any resource that does not have the DP World Tour, the European Tour data, you're going to be missing a lot this week. Half the field is from the DP World Tour. The history of this event is mostly DP World Tour. So again, shameless plug, go to rickrungood.com. All right. So this golf course, it is a link style golf course, but this is really interesting, right? You know, it's only 15 years old. Tom Doak did it 15 years ago, which in terms of golf courses, 15 years is an infancy, right? It's an infant. 15 years of a golf course in Scotland, it just came out of the womb a second ago, right? I mean, this is as young as golf courses get in Europe. And what is kind of interesting about that is it is a link style golf course where you have generally a lot of options. You can play the ball on the ground. There's pot bunkers, all that fun stuff. But it is not the windswept landscape of the old course, right? You know, a lot of these golf courses in England and Scotland and, Northern Ireland, they say Mother Nature designed these golf courses, right? And over time, over hundreds of years, and erosion and wind and all this stuff, the hills, they're very, very natural. Not necessarily the case here, right? This is a man-made, modern, link-style golf course. And the key factor is essentially wind. Wind and weather will determine what the winning score is going to be. When Min Woo Lee won here in 2021, the winning score was 18 under. There was basically no wind, very benign conditions. Last year, when Xander Schauffele won, it was 7 under, windy, kind of nasty, played as one of the more difficult golf courses on the schedule. It is completely dependent on wind. The model that I'm showing you on RickRunGood.com right now does indeed include the European Tour data. So you'll note driving distance is one of the most strongly correlated stats to success at the Renaissance Club. It's 7th, which means there's only 6 other courses in which driving distance is more important. Around the green is 11th. That means that there are only 10 other courses in which around the green is more correlated to success. I think you have concerns around, I would have concerns around data this week because one, we've only seen this golf course 4 times. Half, 3/4 of them were only DP World Tour events with a specific type of player. The differences between conditions can change drastically from year in, year out, day in, day out. So I would be a little bit cautious about just looking at this model and using it as gospel for this week. However, I do think driving distance is going to be pretty important. It's a pretty long set of 4s. It's a pretty long set of 5s. The 3s are actually on the shorter side of things. And you see a lot of approaches come from like 175, 200, 200 plus. You just see a lot more shots from there than a lot of other areas. So if this golf course is pretty dependent on wind and weather, what does that look like? Well, it is Monday morning and the weather changes in a heartbeat overseas. Does this not look like the most beautiful Scottish forecast you could get? Rain and showers in the forecast every day for the next 10 days. The wind is basically always between 9, 15, sometimes gusts up to 20 miles an hour, all that fun stuff. This is awesome. Awesome. I will caution and say, let's get to at least Wednesday. The Wednesday live chat, 3 p.m. Eastern time, Rick Run Good YouTube channel. We'll have at least a better picture of what Thursday and Friday are going to look like. But it does look like you're going to get 10 to 15 mile an hour winds for the vast majority of this event. Maybe Friday morning, as of right now, gets a little bit of a reprieve. We'll see on Wednesday. And then the weekend, Sunday could be pretty awesome, where you get at 2:00 on Sunday, 20 mile an hour winds as this championship is being determined. I love that. So how do we take this information and relay it to golfers that we're looking for this week? A couple of items. Again, I think distance is going to be critical, and around the green play, we saw last year be really, really important as well, because you saw a lot of missed fairways, which missing the fairway by a little bit is not a big deal here. The rough is no issue. Missing it by a mile is when you get into that tall fescue, really big numbers come from missing it big. Missing it into the rough is no problem. But what did not happen is these guys did not hit a lot of greens. That could be wind. It could be coming from the proximity buckets that they're coming from, but they did not hit a lot of greens. And around the green play became very, very critical. I mean, with a winning score of 7 under, making par a lot of times was picking up strokes to the field. So that's why you're seeing around the green being so heavily weighted here as well. So we take that information, distance and around the green play and all the other numbers that we have here, and we look at the last, 3 dozen rounds for everybody in this field, and we see who gets the best adjusted fit. Scotty Scheffler, number 1, he basically rates out with the best adjusted course fit at like any golf course. He's the best player in the world. Tommy Fleetwood is number 2. We're going to talk a lot about Tommy Fleetwood. Min-Woo Lee. So remember, this is different than tournament history, right? Min-Woo Lee's won this event, shows up very highly on the course fit. Even if he's never played this event, if you took his stats and ran it up against that regression model, he would still be a good fit. So I always love to see guys that have both good course fit and good course history. Ryan Fox, he's a bomber, right? He gets a big bump there for being a bomber off the tee. Jordan Spieth, Victor Hovland, Patrick Rogers, Michael Kim, Vincent Norman, Xander Schauffele rounding out the rest of that group of just course fit, right? You can take that and you can look at form and all this other stuff, but based on the stats that we're looking at, 3 dozen rounds up here, the data that we have, those are probably your best fits for this week. So let's continue to dive into this and see what names we can put to some faces here, to some numbers, and see if we can start finding some solid plays. All right, here we go. The cheat sheet for golfers over $10,000, led by Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, and then, of course, Patrick Cantlay here at $10,200. So what are we going to do with the guys at the top of the board? It's a very good question. Scotty Scheffler, we haven't seen since the Travelers. So if you haven't been subscribed to my newsletter or you haven't been paying attention, Scotty Scheffler is on this unbelievable run of golf in which he has not finished outside the top 12 since October. I wish I was kidding. I am not. This is a stretch of golf that is historic. It is done in a way that has been super sustainable. It is via tee to green numbers. And the only thing that we've been asking for Scotty to cooperate with is the putter. And when it does cooperate or even plays to a zero, he's probably the best player in the world. So I have been getting as much exposure to Scotty Scheffler as possible. He has shown up in a lot of optimal lineups as of late. The idea of him playing around a link style golf course is kind of interesting, right? You know, he is what I think a phenomenal around the green player. You can see that he's gained multiple strokes around the green in 6 straight starts in 7 of his last 8. He has a lot of creativity, and really it's just a matter of whether or not he's going to putt. So I don't think there are any red flags. He drives it long, he drives it straight. He's probably the best approach player in the world. I mean, just to kind of put this, I'm just going to try to put this into perspective a little bit. You know, last 36 rounds across the globe, and we'll get the senior tour out of there because that kind of skews some things with Padraig Harrington, but there are 6 golfers who are gaining over 2 strokes per round globally. And Scotty Scheffler is the only guy gaining over 2.5 strokes per round, and he's gaining nearly 2.7. The tee to green numbers are even more shocking. There's only one guy gaining at least 2 strokes from tee to green. It's Scotty Scheffler, and he's gaining over 3 from tee to green. So again, it's just kind of difficult to constantly be putting words to the stats of what Scotty's been able to do. It's spectacular. I think he should be more expensive than this. I'll have plenty of exposure to him when warranted. The rest of this range is obviously going to be filled with great golfers. Let's talk about Xander Schauffele here for a second at 10,400. He's obviously the defending champion. If you go back and look at his stats recently, they're obviously very good. I think I have a little bit of concern. These guys are the best in the world. Okay. So when I say I have a concern, it like bumps Xander Schauffele from a 10 out of 10 to like a 9.1 out of 10, right? Like, let's be realistic here, but this is a golf course and potentially a weather situation, which I do think around the green is going to be pretty important. You know, you go back to the key stats model, it has graded out as a very important stat over the last couple of years. The way that you miss a lot of greens around here, and especially if that wind kind of stays true to the forecast, you're going to have to be able to get up and down. And while he's a phenomenal putter, he has struggled around the green. He's lost strokes in 3 of his last 4. That is the only complaint about Xander Schauffele. That is it. But when it's actually kind of the opposite of Scotty Scheffler. You know, Scotty's great around the green, doesn't putt very well. Xander has been great with the putter, hasn't been great around the green, and they're both pretty awesome ball strikers. So that's the only knock there is I think that, you know, around the green play is going to be more critical this week. There's a stat that some of these this golf course basically putts with inside 5 feet are very difficult, which I actually think helps. I tend to think that helps the poor putters, right? Because if your best putters are missing them from inside of 5 feet, that helps the guys that miss them from 5 feet on easy putts as well. So I tend to think that there's a path to this being better statistically than for Scotty than maybe for Xander. I think for me, it's certainly a Scotty and a Rory week, right? Here's Rory. Say what you will about lack of major championships. We are in a stretch of 5 consecutive top 7 finishes, a runner-up at the U.S. Open, tons of top-end finishes. He is the best driver of the golf ball on the planet. His approach play has been much improved. He's gained nearly 11 strokes on approach in his last 2. He gained another 7 at Oak Hill. The putter's been great. He's gained there in 5 straight. The around the green play has been great. I mean, this is Rory time. And when you look at let's do this. Let's look at his Scottish Open history. So he missed the cut here last year. Then he played it as a DP World Tour event 3 times. So he has not had, so he's twice at the Renaissance Club. Missed cut at a 34th. I almost said third. 34th. 6.5 strokes gained ball striking, lost around the green, lost with the putter. That was in 2019. If you look at his major championship record, his Open championship, you know, you're trying to find, what are we trying to find? Comps here, right? We're trying to find like link style golf. He finished 3rd at St. Andrews, 46th miscut, runner-up, 4th, 5th win. That was a great stretch of 4 years from Liverpool to Carnoustie. So I have very little concern about Rory McIlroy playing a link style golf course, one that actually I think benefits him even better because he's such a great driver of the golf ball. And this one is going to ask for distance. It's going to ask for accuracy. It's going to ask for around the green play. He's got all that. I'm probably going to end up being underweight on Cantlay and Xander, overweight on Scotty and Rory. Cantlay's been great. And I'll tell you what, let's see what the industry does on Cantlay, right? When we get to that Wednesday live chat, if we see that Cantlay's kind of the forgotten man here, I'd be interested in pivoting a little bit. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, but we haven't seen him since the Travelers. His metrics have been very, very good. He finished 4th here last year. The only knock against Cantlay, one, I like the other guys better, and two, his Open Championship record is not particularly shining, right? Isn't it weird that he's only played 4 Opens? Isn't that weird? It's almost impossible, right? I feel like he's been around forever. T8 at St. Andrews, missed the cut at Royal St. George's, T41 at Royal Portrush, T12 at Carnoustie. It's okay. I just think I would prefer Rory. I would prefer Scotty, Xander, and Cantlay. I'll probably catch up with them a bit down the road. The 9K range has a lot to offer here. Let's start with Matt Fitzpatrick. Matt Fitzpatrick, I showed you earlier, you're probably not going to find anybody in this field who has better course history than Matt Fitzpatrick does. So here's the Holy Grail. Sort by the Renaissance Club, and do it for... you also have to make sure you click on European Tour as well. Got to get both tours in here. So here we go. Of anybody who's played at least 16 rounds, Matt Fitzpatrick is the best. 16 rounds, 1.9 strokes gained per round, T6, T2, T42, T14. Tommy Fleetwood is up there as well. He's in this range. He's only got 12 rounds, but it's a T4, a T26, and a runner-up finish at this event. So those are kind of the two leaders of the course history. The other one, and they're all in this 9K, or there's all Thomas Dietrich's here, and then Terrell Hatton. So 3 guys in the 9K range who have gained over a stroke and a half per round in at least 12 rounds at this golf course. Wow. That is a lot of course history firepower. Let me pull up the stat profile for Matt Fitzpatrick. We'll probably have to talk about all 3 of these guys, Hatton, Fitzpatrick, and Tommy Fleetwood. But Fitzpatrick's had that weird year, right? The weird year where he dealt with the neck injury, then he won, and it's been like, okay, ever since. Drives the ball well. Second shot does great. He's a phenomenal putter. We know he's one of the most well-rounded golfers, right? If I put a circle chart together, a donut chart together, I bet you Matt Fitzpatrick's, strokes gain numbers, if I broke it down by shot, would probably be pretty even compared to a lot of his peers. And that's kind of what you want here. I think there is some level of hedging that's going to have to happen where I think distance helps. I think around the green helps. But if there is a ton of wind, it's going to be a lot harder. If there is no wind, this golf course is going to be very easy. I think you've got to get somebody with a pretty well-rounded skill set. He wins at Harbor Town. He wins at Brookline. He contends at the Memorial, plays well at the Masters, right? Like just a lot of different skill sets for someone like Matt Fitzpatrick. I would actually really like it if Cam Young played here. Cam Young, he's not playing this week. He's got a very eclectic set of runner-up finishes that I think would be pretty interesting as a hedge. But that idea that these versatile golfers, I think Matt Fitzpatrick certainly checks that box. Tommy Fleetwood, I'll tell you what, Tommy Fleetwood's low-key been awesome. Tee to green, you look at going back to Harbor Town, he's gained 5, 9, 6, 6, 13, finished runner-up at the Canadian Open, played well at the U.S. Open. He missed the cut at the Travelers. I'm not super concerned about that, right? The 2 missed cuts are whatever, right? He misses the cut at Colonial, misses the cut at the Travelers. He's been playing well outside of that. You look at his Scottish Open history as well, and this goes back even beyond the Renaissance Club. He had a 10th place finish in 2015. He had a 17th in 2013. He's obviously comfortable with these conditions. You look at the Open Championship stuff that he's put together, T4, 33rd, runner-up, T12 in his last 4. I think Tommy has a chance of winning this. I think that's true. The problem I have with Tommy is he's not super long, and if he's a little bit off with his irons, that's kind of the thing that sparks him a little bit, right? You lose 2.5 strokes on approach at TPC River Highlands, he misses the cut. He loses 3.5 at Colonial. He misses the cut. If he's dialed in with those second shots, I think he can make a lot of noise around this place. And then Terrell Hatton was that third golfer who, talk about guys who are flying under the radar. Look at these ball striking numbers. And actually, let's just do it like this. Let's do everybody in this field, last 36 rounds, ball striking just on the PGA Tour, right? Let's just, the DP World Tour data, it's fine, but you can run into some issues here. Where do these guys rank? Okay, so Hatton is here between Spieth and Luke List and Matt Fitzpatrick and Ludwig Aberg, and Fitzpatrick is right behind him. So they're like, what is that, 13th and 14th in this field? Something of that nature in the ball striking categories. And oh, by the way, they're basically two of the best putters during that stretch as well, which is why you kind of get excited about what their prospects are for this week. That leaves us with, Ricky's in the $9,500 range, or not in the 95. That's exactly how much he costs. Jordan Spieth is here. Wyndham Clark is here. Shane Lowry is here. Victor Hovland, who we haven't even talked about, is here. This could possibly be the best 9K range I've ever seen. I'm not sure that's an exaggeration. Ricky's coming off of a win, has played phenomenal this year, and has great links history. Jordan Spieth, I don't need to sell you on his links history. Wyndham Clark, TBD on link style golf, but has just been an absolute stone cold killer. And then Shane Lowry, oh yeah, he's got a claret jug on the mantle as well. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that this is probably the best 9K range we've ever seen. It's so funny. I'm trying to split hairs here and I can't even. So here's the trends tool. I love this tool because it looks at every golfer's 100 round baseline. It looks at how they're playing recently. So every single golfer in the 9K range is playing over their 100 round baseline in the last 36 rounds. The worst is Terrell Hatton. Terrell Hatton's playing 0.08 over his baseline, which is still so good that his strokes gain trend number is one of the best in the field because his baseline is so high. Every single golfer in the 9K range playing over their 100 round baseline. I don't think I've seen anything like that before. It's very, very impressive. So I'll likely be getting a lot of exposure to these guys. We can let the ownership game kind of dictate because they can't all be 18% owned, right? So maybe we'll let that determine it. But wow, hat tip to the 9K range. Very, very solid stuff there. The 8K range is pretty interesting as well. Not nearly as many guys that, I've got concerns about these guys, right? Justin Thomas is in here. We can talk about him. Let's start with Minwoo. So Minwoo won this a couple of years ago. I don't think people realize how long Minwoo is off the tee. He's quite long. He moves it a long way. I told the story at Oak Hill where he was, I think it was number 4. What's that par 5? I think it's number 4. He was on the left-hand side. He was outside the ropes. I've not felt like I could feel the contact that he made with the ground in my body, which I've never felt before. It was very bizarre. I don't know if it was because it was like kind of wet or I don't know. It was bizarre. And I've never felt anything like that. He's very powerful. Gains a ton of strokes off the tee. The flat stick is hot right now. He gained 6 strokes at the PGA Championship. He gained nearly 7 at the Travelers Championship. He's made 5 cuts in a row. The worst finish in that stretch is a T40 at the Charles Schwab. He's got 4 top 18 finishes. He's low-key pretty good in these big events, right? His last 5 majors, he missed the cut at the Masters, but he's got 4 top 27 finishes in that stretch. He's low-key really good at these events. Obviously, the win here in 2021, and I think he's just vibing right now. The concern, obviously, is if he goes out and loses 4 or 5 strokes on approach, which he is absolutely capable of doing. Now, he's gained with the second shot in 3 out of his last 4. Awesome, but that would be the concern. So what the path to the top of the board for Mini is drive it well, gain like 1 to 2 strokes on approach, gain a little bit around the green, and then get that putter hot again. That's the pathway for him. It's not super unrealistic. I think he's capable of doing it. I do want to look at his upside real quick. So this is strokes gain distribution. This shows you how often a golfer is gaining, 4, 5, 6 strokes to the field, or 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just find Minwoo real quick. Or actually, this might be a better way to do it. Just kind of looking through round by round. Yeah, you can see 5.8 gained in round 2 of the PGA Championship, 7.2 in round 2 of the US Open. He can gain 3. I mean, this is a stretch from his last round of the US Open to the first 3 rounds of the Travelers Championship, where he gained at least 2.8 in every single round. It's more volatile than I think a lot of these guys, but it's that might be what you're looking for. Concerns I have, like Max Homa, I have concerns about, right? You know, he has kind of been all over the place. I worry about his link style golf, whether his skill set translates to link style golf. I'm encouraged by what he did ball striking at Detroit Golf Club, but the around the green play hasn't been nearly as good. His short game in general, losing in 3 straight, that's usually a pretty reliable part of his game, and we haven't really seen it. It's been kind of a bizarre little year for Homa. I'm probably going to be underweight on him. And then we got to have this conversation about Justin Thomas, right? Justin Thomas is $8,300, which, if you've been tracking, already one of the lowest prices we've ever seen on him. In fact, I think this is now officially the lowest price we've ever seen on Justin Thomas since I've been tracking this the last, 4 or 5 years. And this to me just looks like a golfer who is lacking. I mean, this is almost mental to me, right? Because some weeks he's driving it well and then he loses it off the grid. To lose 6 around the green at Detroit Golf Club is shocking. He's been bad with the putter for his entire career, but even more so recently. This is kind of a disaster. I like the idea of being early on someone, but this does not feel like the spot to be buying low, if that makes sense. His open, and also his open, his open championship record stinks. 53rd, 40th, 11th, miscut, 53rd. His Scottish Open history is miscut T8, both at the Renaissance Club. I'm worried about this. I'm happy to be early on guys, but I need to see some sort of life, something. 2 starts in a row where he's good, not great, and I'd be interested, but doesn't feel like we're there yet. Oh, real quick on Ludwig Aberg. This is, where is it? Here it is. This is the reason why he should be on the Ryder Cup team. Gains 3.5 in the opening round of the Canadian Open, gains 5.5 in the opening round of Rocket Mortgage, gains 5 on Friday, John Deere, 6 on Sunday. That single round upside. The single round upside is super critical in Ryder Cups. He should be on the team. Now, he has shown the ability to lose 4 strokes at the Rocket Mortgage on Saturday. That's not great. But this stretch of golf since he turned pro, the Canadian Open to John Deere, it's 4 events in which he's routinely gaining strokes to the field. He's only lost 5 times in those 20 rounds. What is that? 16 rounds. And the problem is the losses are big. I think he's a really good first round leader. I think he's a really good showdown play. I think, honestly, he's getting better each and every week. It was 2 good rounds at the Rocket Mortgage. It was 3 good rounds at the John Deere. Might just go out and get 4 good rounds out of him this time around. International player, certainly knows how to play golf all over the globe. Ludwig Aberg's $8,200. I think it's actually a pretty good deal. Okay, the 7K range is where I think we start to get introduced to a lot more of these guys who generally reside on the DP World Tour. So I think there's kind of an easy way to start going through them. I can point a couple of guys out, but we can let the numbers do a little bit of the talking. I'll quickly point out just Rasmus Højgaard at $7,700. He won last week on the DP World Tour. He finished 10th here last year. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let the database do its power for me, right? I'm going to go to the power rankings. I'm going to go to strokes gained, just raw strokes gained. I'm going to only click the European Tour numbers. So this is rounds only from the European Tour. We're going to put a last 50 rounds with a minimum of 35 rounds on the European Tour. We're going to sort by that, and we're just going to see what pops up. So you'll see, a lot of these guys, 7K, 6K. This is only European Tour data. So you got to have it to be able to sort it like this. Let's look at somebody like Alexander Bjork. Here's his stat profile. Yeah. Right. If you're not seeing this, you're cooked, right? Because he has not played on the PGA Tour since St. Andrews. So you're missing 20 starts in which he's got, my God, 3 straight top 8 finishes coming here, top 9 finishes coming into this. 2 more 4th place finishes before that. his worst finish since February is a T29. He's been phenomenal. The tee to green numbers are great. He does not drive it well. His approach numbers are awesome. His around the green stuff is spectacular, and he's hot with the putter. How about that? Finding Alexander Bjork. Probably someone that you would have overlooked if you weren't paying attention to just the European Tour data, because that's all he plays on. Thorbjorn Olesen. Now, I know he's cooled down as of late, but if you go back further, yeah. So he's missed 2 of his last 4 cuts, but he finished T15 at the British Masters, which was just 2 weeks ago. But he's got this 3rd earlier in mid-May. He won in February. A lot of his better play was like 8, 7, 6, 5 starts ago, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4 starts ago. But over a larger sample size, he has still been very good. Yannick Paul, I talk about Yannick Paul all the time. Yannick Paul is a very volatile golfer. He can gain 10 strokes from tee to green, no problem. He can contend. He can miss the cut. Doesn't always play well, but I think he's a very talented golfer. He might play his way onto the European Ryder Cup team. Needs a little bit of help, needs to play great down the stretch, but a couple runner-up finishes here in February, couple of a T3 and a T8 in 2 of his last 3 starts. All good there. Let's continue. What else can we find? I'm going to butcher his name, but Romain Langaskak, I believe is what it is. I like this profile. I was looking at this a little bit earlier. So you've got a guy who finished T8 at the British Masters. He does so from what I can gather, and I guess I could look up his DP roll. I think he's kind of a bomber, right? Because he gains a lot of strokes off the tee to not be a bomber. He gained 6 at the Porsche European Open, 2.8 at LACC, 3.6 at the BMW International Open, and then 1.3 at the British Masters. It's almost too many to just do it via accuracy, so I think he's got to do it via the distance. Around the green, he's very stout. And putting, he's very stout. This is how do I want to describe this? A stat profile that is slightly worse than Cam Young's. Cam Young is rare because he hits it far and he has great touch around the greens. I'll look this up. I'm pretty sure he hits it long. It looks like he's got the touch on and around the greens. He's not as good on approach as Cam Young is. So it's like a lighter version, European Tour version of Cam Young, whose game travels. Let me just confirm that he's actually as long as I think he is. Yeah, he's 18th on the DP World Tour in driving distance. So that makes sense. Okay, let's continue here. I think this is honestly very valuable, right? Half this field is basically guys that reside on the DP World Tour. They're all in the 7K and 6K range for the most part. They're going to win lineups, or they're going to win contests for you. I think this is a pretty valuable exercise. So let's continue here for a little bit. Jordan L. Smith would be a team no putt guy, right? Look at the ball striking numbers. He gained 3.5 last week, 6 the week before, 8 at the U.S. Open. Finished T20 at the U.S. Open, by the way. Finished T6 at the Porsche European Open. Gained 14 strokes ball striking there. Gained 10 at Marco Simone. That's where they're going to have the Ryder Cup this year in Italy at the Italian Open. So he's got some really good finishes there. Tends to struggle with the flat stick. If this is a place where it neutralizes putting a little bit on those 5-footers or whatever, maybe this is a good spot for him. But I do like the guys that, get their chops out. He's played the PGA Championship, missed the cut, had a great finish at LACC. All good. Okay. What else do we have? Well, I guess I could show you Rasmus's profile coming off the victory. It was I don't want to say it was out of nowhere, but he withdrew at the International Open, finished T59 before that, T3 at the KLM Open. So, okay, again, kind of more volatile. Gains 10 strokes to the field a lot. This was a great stretch of golf from him. He cooled off a little bit, then he snapped off and won. Interesting. Okay, what else do we have? Maybe one more? See if I can find somebody really well-rounded. Olesen's pretty well-rounded. Matthew Pavon, I think he's French. He's actually 6,800, so I'm cheating going into that range, but he gains in all 4 major strokes gain categories, gets about half his strokes gained from tee to green, half of them from the putter. That's pretty well-rounded. Let's check him out real quick. What's he been up to? Yeah, okay, great. Missed 1 cut. That was the U.S. Open. But otherwise, that's his first missed cut since January. A little bit all over the yard. Like basically loses strokes off the tee every other start, loses strokes on approach like every other start, loses strokes around the green every other start. It's a little all over the place, but maybe if you catch him on the right week, interesting. A lot of really good stat profiles here. So those were basically the European Tour guys. The rest of the 7K range. Alex Smalley flushed it last week. I think he led the field in ball striking. He finished 10th here last year. He finished 9th at the Travelers, 2nd at the John Deere. Let me just confirm. I'm pretty sure that was, I know for sure what he did on, I think Friday or Saturday was unbelievable. It was like the second best approach round of the year. Did he lead the field in ball striking? He did. 9.2, led it in approach, gained nearly 8 strokes on approach. Smalley's back to flushing it. Love that. Aaron Rai won this event in 2020. He's playing better golf now than he was leading up to that event. Finished 9th here in 2018. He's been great. Okay, here's the 6K range, and I guess I did cheat a little bit because I talked about Pavan. I talked about Romain Langeskog. Someone's going to have to tell me how to pronounce his name. I apologize. What else do we have here? Let's actually, the other thing you can do on RickRunGood.com is flip to global. So this will just show you no matter where the event was, how they've been playing in the last 8 weeks. So you can kind of just, get an idea of, like, let me find a good example here. Jorge Campillo missed the cut in 2 of his last 3, but had a 14th place finish 2 starts ago. So that's how you read this. David Law missed the cut last week, but had 3 straight top 15s. Let's look up David Law. Yeah, he's trending a little bit, isn't he? So missed the cut last week. T15, T12, T6 with outrageously good ball striking numbers. And he's a pretty decent putter. Around the green games, it's okay as well. Probably a slight negative. But he looks like he's found something, because this was not a great stretch of golf before that. He missed, 4 out of 5 cuts, and then he started to figure it out a little bit. But this is a pretty darn good stretch. David Law's hot right now. If he found something, I think we're in. Oh, here's Daniel. Oh God, I'm gonna screw this up. I think it's Hillier. I don't know if it's Hillier or Hillier, but look at this stat profile. Wins the British Masters, 3rd at the BMW International Open, and then a start before that, or 2 starts before that, T5 at the KLM. So he has gained 10 or more strokes 3 times in his last 4 starts. Now the odd one was really bad. He lost 7 strokes to the field. But wow, I'll tell you what, you're going to be able to make some pretty killer lineups this week, because you can play a couple of Euro guys and then play anybody you want. This is going to be sick. I wonder what the model's going to say about these guys. Let's just do a model. Let's do a model. So here's what we got to do. Custom model, RickRunGood.com. I think we got to be a little bit smart about this. Last 50 rounds, okay, so remember that across these tours, not everything is tracked by all the tours, stats-wise. So the thing that we can rely on most is strokes gained and weighted strokes gained. Weighted strokes gained will also consider strength of field and a variety of other factors. So guys that gain 2 strokes in a crappy field in Europe do not get as much credit as gaining 2 strokes at the US Open, okay? So I think we need to be pretty heavy there, because that's what everybody in this field has, those metrics. So let's do 25 on strokes gained total and 25 on weighted strokes gained total, okay? I think we just have to do that. Now, let's do 15 on distance. Let's do where is it? Am I going crazy here? Oh, it's Renaissance Club, not the Renaissance Club. Okay, let's put 10 on strokes gained course history. See, I want to do like hard golf courses, but there's a chance if it's not windy that it's pretty easy. So we've got weighted strokes gained, driving distance, course history. Let's do around the green last 50 for 10. I think that's going to be pretty important. Around the green last 50 for 10. We've got to get an approach stat in there, although it's obviously going to be incorporated into You know what we could do? We could do bogey of, well, again, if it's easy, I don't really care about that. So we'd almost have to run, we could run 2 separate models, an easy one and a hard one. And then let's just do 15 on strokes gained approach in the last 36. I'll save this, obviously. So my number 1 golfer is Scotty Scheffler. Yeah, no surprise. Scheffler, Cantlay, Wyndham Clark, Ricky Fowler, Xander, Jordan, Terrell Hatton, Matt Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood. Wow, Rory's 10th. That stinks. Who are the notables? Gary Woodland, $7,600, 16th. Padraig Harrington, 7,100. Alexander Bjork, 20th at 7,300. Don't get the Højgaards mixed up. There's 2 of them. Nikolai's 22nd for me in this model. So I'm going to save it. See, what I can do, what you should do is you should save this and then do a kind of like a hard one if we think the course is going to play hard, and kind of an easy one if we think the course is going to play easy. Because otherwise, we're just kind of straddling the line here. So I'll save this. We can look at it on Wednesday. But a lot of big name play. I think Justin Rose, 8,700. That's kind of interesting. I mean, Shane Lowry takes a pretty big hit on this. Okay. Let me just real quick. Let me just reset this. I want to just do those like last 50 weighted strokes gained and stroke gained. That's it. That's it. That's the whole thing. Scotty's number 1. He's number 1 in both. I just want to see who jumps. I mean, Rory's 4. Minwoo's 14th. That's pretty interesting. Eric Cole, 15th. Wow, that's really good for $7,400. Yeah, Bjork is 19th. Nick Taylor's 18th. Let's just do 100 on weighted strokes gained. Yeah, all the PGA Tour guys. Let's do 100 on. Sorry, if you've made it this far, yeah, Bjork is 4th in raw strokes gained. Harrington 7th, Thorbjorn Olsen 11th, Juice Luton 12th, Yannick 14th, Adrian Morong 15th. Okay, sorry, I could do this all day long. You could do it all day long. Go sign up for RickRunGood.com. Go sign up for my newsletter, RickRunGood.com/newsletter. Go join that splash contest. So let's do it together. And then maybe you'll win some swag. I don't have the box near me anymore. But best of luck this week. I'll talk to you guys soon.